Well, good morning again. I am in Claremont at Lake Louisa State Park. And it's got a loop that runs around the park. It's a little bit more than 10 miles, and there's a whole bunch of other trails in the interior that I can follow. It is a cool start to the morning. I think it said it was about 67 degrees, a little windy. Gonna warm up to in the mid 70s, so it should be a nice day. Partly cloudy, and I'm sure maybe those clouds will burn off. Might be a little sunny later, but it should be a great day for a hike. And there's some actual slight hills here in Claremont, so it's not the same as the elevation changes I'll be seeing in a couple months, but it's something. It's the best I can do within an hour of where I live in Seminole County. So if you're joining me for the first time, this is part of my training. I'm going to be hiking the Appalachian Trail in a couple months. My plan is to do what they call a flip-flop through hike, starting in Harper's Ferry and heading north to Katahdin, and then transiting back to Harper's Ferry and hiking south to Springer. I plan to start that trek sometime in May. So I hope that, if you're joining me now for the first time, I hope you'll continue to watch my adventure over these next 6 or 7 months and encourage me along the way. This is the last of my not the last, but sort of a briefer training hike this weekend. Next week, I'm planning to do several days on parts of the Florida Trail in a row. That's not something I've ever done before, in that I will be hiking by myself and, doing several overnights with, food and filtering water along the way. I've done all of these things individually, and not, in pieces, but in part of a group. I've done plenty of hiking, being involved with Scouts with my son, and now he's graduated and he's off at the University of Florida. He's not involved with the Scouts anymore. I've stayed involved, and I still, do activities with them. So I've done all of these pieces, but never on my own. And so that's going to be a new challenge for me next week. All right, so I will pause here and let you know, or I'll take a video or a still if I see anything interesting. So far, low grasses and some pines and oaks. I see evidence of animals. I see some trails running through the grasses. But if we see anything interesting, I'll grab it. All right, I'll see you in a bit. So this is the condition of the trail. And after what I had to deal with last week, oh man, it's beautiful. It's sometimes a little tough to hike on the sugar sand that we get, but it's very nice right now. My feet are dry, and as long as they stay dry today, I will be so happy. Now, of course, if you don't know what I'm talking about, you should go and view the video that I posted last week, and you'll see the comparison. we do get a lot of this sugar sand in Florida because, well, you know, I guess a couple 100,000 years ago, Florida was basically at the bottom of the ocean. Florida is pretty much a sandbar. Oh, I see a rabbit. Yeah, right there on the edge. I don't know how well that's going to show. If you can see it right there at that point, there's a rabbit right there. So, oh, there it went. Yeah, so Florida is basically a sandbar. And so if you get any trails that go through vegetation, at some point you're probably gonna deal with this sugar sand. And it's kind of tough to walk on, but it's better than water, that's for sure. All right, see you in a bit. There were signs like this throughout the trail, and they were created as part of an eagle project. Saw a few citrus trees along the trail. Now this is Lake Louisa. It's at the northern end of the park. There's a boardwalk leading from a parking area to this little beach. And of course, since we are in Florida, I have to remind people that there could be alligators. I found this along the trail. Somebody probably missed it last night. There was a youth camp area along the trail, so I decided it would be a good time to take a break and practice setting up the tent that I'll be using along the trail. I went with the Dan Durston X-Mid 1P. This is a trekking pole tent. It doesn't have its own structure. You have to use the poles and stakes for the structure. So what I'm doing now is setting the rectangular base. You have to make sure that the base of the fly is a pretty solid rectangle. You want to try and get those angles on the corners to be pretty much 90 degrees. All right, and now you basically use your hiking poles to create the structure. You slip the hiking pole into a grommet, and then you raise the pole and lock it in place. Do the same thing on the other side. And then you can set additional stakes for the vestibule areas to give yourself a little bit more space on the inside. And this is the basic setup of the tent. You can open up the fly and roll it up, and there's little magnets to keep that in place if the weather is reasonable and you can leave it open for a while. having some lunch. This is an orange I took from the tree I saw earlier. It was easy peel, but not very tasty. Well, I'm back at the trailhead. Hiked for about 5 hours, give or take some time for breaks and stopping for lunch. Went well. Not really sure on the actual miles I did, probably around 10 to 12, somewhere around there. It wasn't too bad. Did warm up a bit toward the end, and it was sunny, but all in all, a nice day. And again, really nice to have a dry trail to hike on. All right, so my plan again, upcoming, is next week to do several days on the Florida Trail. I'll be starting in Lake County and heading north through the Ocala National Forest and ending up northeast of Gainesville. My sister, my brother-in-law, and my mother all live in a town called Flora Home, and the trail goes within a mile of where they live. So I figured, well, that would be a good stopping point. I hope I get all those miles in. It's going to be challenging, and we'll have to see how that goes. If not, I've got bailout points along the way, and again, they live relatively close, so if I have to bail out, they can come get me. All right, well, if you stuck around to the end of the video, I appreciate it. Thank you, and I hope to see you again next time on the trail.